I see a number of familiar faces in the participants group or names, and I've been proud to do economic development in this province for close to 25 years and really having a great time right now launching a new agency, Prairies Economic Development Canada, which I'm going to talk to you about now. And what we'll do is speak for about 20 minutes, provide this presentation, and then we'll be happy to get into a Q&A portion where hopefully we can get some of your questions answered. So you would know us previous from our old name, Western Economic Diversification Canada, which existed for 34 years. And over the 34-year time period, we did play a significant role as a strategic investor and a representation of Western economic interests in Ottawa. And as we've now evolved into Prairies Economic Development Canada, or Prairiescan for short, don't call us PCAN, please, just call us Prairiescan. I'm excited to share with you how we're going to enhance our resources and services, and as we continue to support the growth and diversification of Alberta. And what I am especially interested in is how we can increase our partnerships with you, the economic development community in this province, and team up to have even greater results in mutual benefit for us and the province. So I'll get Carlo, if you could go to the next slide, please. As all of you know, in early 2020, our world shook from the onset of the pandemic, and many long-term initiatives were put on hold, and we had to pivot as an organization to provide immediate relief and support for businesses, families, and individuals. We launched the Regional Relief and Recovery Fund in record time, and with the help of some of our partners, got to work in providing direct supports to businesses to keep them afloat and position them for a recovery period. Through RRF, Western Diversification protected nearly 41,000 jobs and provided over $630 million in support to 9,400 businesses and organizations needing a lifeline. Alberta businesses represented an outsized portion of where that need was coming from. Not only were we seeing challenges from COVID, but many had been struggling due to the crash in oil prices and other economic factors just before the onset of the pandemic. In fact, Alberta outpaced all other applications from other provinces in the West, and nearly half of all the businesses supported by WD and RRF are from Alberta. So Alberta did receive a very substantial share of the support. Our Western Canada Business Service Network partners played a crucial role in getting that support to local businesses. They included our 27 Community Futures offices and association across the province, Alberta Women's Entrepreneurs, the Business Link, Indigenous Business Development Services, the Conseil de Développement Économique de l'Alberta, and the Entrepreneurs with Disabilities program delivered by Momentum, Prospect Human Services Society, and Community Futures. They understand the realities and unique challenges facing individual communities, and with their help, Alberta entrepreneurs receive services and capital that have kept their businesses afloat and saved thousands of jobs. So we were able to support these efforts efficiently to the people who needed them, and we had to change the way we worked. We've all had to change the way we've worked amidst COVID. But what we have done is we've learned to listen better, to bring communities together and employ an approach that is rooted in communities and the people who make them thrive. And with the resounding success of RRF and the lessons learned, the federal government empowered us with ongoing and sustained tools and finances to continue this new approach. So the federal government that was passed this spring expanded our budget, created an agency dedicated to economic development in the prairies, and emphasized a deeper focus on communities and relationships. As Prairiescans, we are getting ready to team up with businesses and communities to play critical roles as investors, conveners, advisors, and pathfinders. So if you're wondering what we do as Prairiescan, it's right there on the screen for you. We get you to remember those words: investors, conveners, advisors, and pathfinders. Prairiescan is about bringing people together, companies and ideas together, co-creating initiatives that benefit our communities, and advocating for our economic interests in Ottawa. Let me go into a little bit more detail of what I'm talking about. So our role as investors is what we are used to and the easiest to describe. Simply put, we fund projects that help businesses and communities and regional economies grow. As I mentioned, I've been doing economic development for 25 years, and it is now through Prairiescan and WD is the first time that I've been able to have the privilege of working in an agency or group that's been able to invest directly into businesses through zero interest loans. And this economic tool has really resulted in more economic impact than I've seen from most of the other programs I've participated in. So it's a really exciting opportunity and a great leverage tool that we need as an economic development community to understand more about in terms of the net benefits. But we also do a number of other things that I'll get into. While RRF has helped protect families against the short-term challenges, we've also kept our eye trained on the future strength and diversity of the province. And so through that business scale-up and productivity program, we're providing direct supports to businesses with growth potential that will drive our recovery and position the province as leaders in specific sectors into the future. At the same time, and thanks to our new mandate, we are increasing our focus on working with communities. So with the help of our partners in the Western Canada Business Services Network, we are working with underrepresented communities to co-develop solutions that will increase economic opportunities for Indigenous communities, women, remote and rural regions, and Francophone communities. And finally, we'll be able to help businesses through different stages of growth through our Regional Innovation and Ecosystem Program. And it's through this program that we invest in not-for-profit organizations, incubators and accelerators that provide the training, resources, and capital necessary for businesses to take hold and thrive. For example, you may have heard about Alberta Innovate's recent Scale Up and Growth Accelerator program, or Scale Up GAP. We collaborated with them as Prairiescan, aimed at increasing access to supports and resources for Alberta-based small and medium-sized tech companies. And thanks in part to our investment of $5 million, we are bringing 3 business accelerators within global reach into Alberta. Plug and Play and Startup 500 are 2 of these accelerators that you may have heard of coming from the US. These business accelerators will play a critical role in enabling our companies to scale and grow at a faster rate through such supports as training and mentorship, access to investors and networks, and logistical and technical resources. And the outcome, we believe, is that over the next 3 years, Alberta Innovates expects to help over 300 Alberta companies bring their products to market. So in terms of our sector priorities, because I know that's of interest to a number of you as Prairiescan, they're pretty straightforward. We have clean tech, health innovation, agriculture, and digital technologies. These are all areas of strength for the province, and I want to be clear that we will be supporting good projects in other sectors as well, but these are the ones we're currently strategically focused on being proactive. We, in fact, have had some early success in these areas. Earlier this year, Prairiescan invested $1.2 million to launch the Edmonton Region Hydrogen Hub, which was Canada's first hydrogen hub located right here in Alberta's industrial heartland. This was also supported by provincial and municipal governments. This stands as a bit of a blueprint now for the rest of Canada on what strong collaboration across sectors and governments and communities can achieve. And though it's in the early stages, Medicine Hat is hopeful that it can build Canada's second hydrogen hub, this time to serve the communities of Southeast Alberta, and we're working with them on that goal. A key factor in our economic recovery is the number of companies that we are ready to scale and have compete in the world market. And these are exactly the type of firms we invest in through our business scale up and productivity program. So in fact, many of our BSP investments continue to see growth even through the pandemic. We've been honored to provide our no interest loan programs to a number of Alberta's unicorns. They are taking our financing and often leveraging it to acquire additional commercial financing to help them scale and grow. This is risk-based financing. You may have heard of some of these companies you see before you: Alta ML, Levin Electronics, Neo Financial, Four Eyes in Cochrane, and Southland Trailers in Lethbridge. Companies like this are driving the province towards not only a swift recovery, but are the foundations for a more diversified and resilient economic future. So I talked a little bit before about Budget 2021, which announced a suite of funding programs that Prairiescan will deliver to help stimulate local economies, create good middle-class jobs, and promote long-term economic growth. 2 in particular that I'd like to highlight for you today, and which I encourage you all to consider for project funding opportunities or to point clients to these programs, which are still open and looking for good applications. And if you take a Google search of these particular programs as I'm speaking, I encourage you to do so, because there really are excellent opportunities that are available right now. So the Jobs and Growth Fund provides funding to businesses and not-for-profit organizations to help create more jobs and position Canada for inclusive recovery and long-term growth. It's a $700 million national budget for this program, of which $217 million has been allocated to Western Canadian businesses in order to transition to a green economy, foster an inclusive recovery, and improve productivity and resiliency, as well as strengthen critical areas of importance to Canada's economic development. We need your help to get the word out on this program. We are not seeing as many applications as we would like to see, and this will support both, as I said, both for-profit and not-for-profit organizations with great projects aimed at growing jobs in the province. So Google the Jobs and Growth Fund and contact our offices for more information, and our officers can walk you through sort of the components and requirements and criteria we're using to assess those applications. Prairiescan will be more than just an advisor or an investor. We will also help convene, advise, and pathfind to help businesses and communities reach their goal. And collaboration is at the very center of how we work. So in a moment, I'll give you a brief overview of some of these mandates and provide some examples of the types of work and successes we'll be building on. The other program I want to highlight is the Tourism Relief Fund. So the Tourism Relief Fund's aim is to support tourism businesses and organizations in strategically adapting their products and services to adjust to public health requirements while planning for and investing in recovery efforts for future growth. So a really important sector that's been devastated by COVID, as we would all understand, and really is in need of some specific assistance. The fund will focus on empowering businesses and organizations to seize opportunities in domestic markets and help the sector reposition itself for international visitors as the country prepares to safely reopen. Also over the summer, we launched a few other programs, the Canada Community Revitalization Fund. We had lots of interest and lots of applications in that fund. We're currently assessing them and hoping to move forward projects for funding approval in the coming weeks. The major festivals and events support initiative, as well as the Aerospace Regional Recovery Initiative, are also other programs we're in the process of delivering. I encourage you to take a good look at these new time-limited programs and consider whether they are a fit for your partners and your clients. So as I mentioned a moment ago, Prairiescan is going to be more than just an investor. We will also convene, advise, and pathfind to help businesses and communities reach their goals, with collaboration at the center of how we work. And convening has been and will continue to be a key role for us. One example is the Health Analytics and Diagnostic Cluster Task Team, which was an example of our team bringing together key players in industry, in government together to create opportunities for all. We brought together stakeholders to the table from academia, government, industry leaders to talk about how they could advance health analytics and diagnostic sector, which is a really dynamic and interesting sector growing in our province. This was chaired by the CEOs of Dynalife and Kent Imaging, and a task force was quickly created to explore how we could get this cluster to grow. They met six times over the past year and identified a number of action items related to advisory services, access to capital, technology validation, and healthcare data. And the outcome was such that the task team agreed to develop a proposal that we will help co-fund by Prairiescan. Task team has evolved to be called the Health Analytics and Diagnostics Coalition that will track and develop solutions for key issues identified in earlier discussions. And through the advice of this committee, we've been able to fund a number of projects that will help advance the sector in terms of getting better data, more evaluation, economic evaluation, and other advisory services to set them on a productive path. In terms of advisors, well, a good example of our role as advisors is the Youth Talent Attraction Study we kicked off earlier this year. We're working with the Canada West Foundation right now to gain a better insight into the minds of young Albertans and where they see themselves in Alberta's future. The study is still underway, not yet complete. We hope to see it finalized in November. So far, it's found 8 factors that influence the decision of the youth to build a future in this province: place, people, professional pathways, affordability, access to recreational opportunities, urban vibrancy, community fundamentals, and climate. These issues will help policymakers in all levels of government and industry create the right environment to attract, retain, and grow talent we need in this province now to do well into the future. Talent attraction and retention is a big area of focus for us right now, as I'm sure it is for many of you working in the economic development field. In terms of Pathfinders, we're already looking to help businesses reach their goals, whether it's through direct support or connecting them with other government partners or private companies. This type of work of connecting businesses with other entities often goes unnoticed, but can have a huge impact. For example, our Indigenous reverse trade shows help to connect our federal government partners with Indigenous firms seeking access to customers and capital. Another example would be our work in helping rural communities connect with federal partners and private entities to enhance their digital connectivity. We're always happy to work with communities to make sure their needs are being fulfilled, even if Prairiescan funding isn't the answer. There's a lot of other funding pools out there within the federal family. They're often complex and hard to navigate. And so that's part of our role, is helping make it easier for clients to access and understand how to navigate those different federal funding paths. With our renewed focus on community economic development and our expanded points of services across the prairies, we hope to be much more active than ever in this role. So we encourage everyone in the EDA to consider getting in touch with us. Now, all of this is going to be done with a stronger emphasis on working on communities and people where they live. So with the creation of Prairiescan Agency comes the understanding that different communities have different needs. And for us to understand those needs, we need to be working with them where they live. So work is underway right now to establish service locations in Lethbridge, Fort McMurray, and Grand Prairie to service not only those communities, but the surrounding regions as well. And we've recently posted job ads for each of these locations. Once they're in place, we will be reaching out to you and other key stakeholders in the region to gain insight into local challenges and identify ways we can work together to address the economic needs of those communities. So a very exciting opportunity for us there. So I really look forward to further strengthening our relationships with our partners, and that being you, who's on the line here today. The launch of Prairiescan ultimately means we can work with more people in more places and make the right kinds of investments that result in good jobs and a better life for Albertans. We've already reached out to many of you and seek your input to identify collaboration opportunities. We expect a very busy fall and winter season full of new ideas, new partnerships, new projects to build a path towards a thriving and inclusive recovery for this province. I'm looking forward to getting in touch with you and all in the coming months, and I thank you for this opportunity to provide an overview of our department. I'd now be happy to take any questions you might have. Thank you.
That's great. Thanks so much, Justin. We really are fortunate to have you in this role because you understand economic development and Alberta. So that's a bonus. So Nancy's on, my colleague's on the line, and Nancy, if you can moderate some of the questions that you've seen, that would be great.
Yeah, we actually have one right now. And the question is the IRAP network and their advisors part of your innovation ecosystem?
The IRAP network, yes, very much so. So IRAP is a fantastic program from the federal government focused on that early stage tech commercialization and research. So you can think of IRAP as sort of being the entry player for a lot of researchers and innovators, and we navigate a lot of our clients to them. Our role is to go past where they are to the later stage of commercialization and to the scale up of companies. So we have a great partnership with IRAP and work with them on a number of fronts.
Great. One more question. Will there be any further funding through RRF for recovery? Now, I hope I get that acronym right. I don't know.
Yeah,
do you pronounce it IRF? I'm not sure.
Yeah, we just call it triple RF.
Oh,
yeah.
triple RF.
Otherwise, you might start making dog noises. So
yeah.
we'll try and avoid that. Yeah. So right now, triple RF has sunsetted and is finished. It was really more of a relief program. We're really now focused on recovery programs. So that Jobs and Growth Fund is really the new vehicle in a general sense of where people should go for support, along with the tourism relief fund and on the other funds outlined. So at this point, we don't have a cabinet named. We're not clear yet all the new programs or priorities for the new government, but at this point, we're pointing to our Budget 21 temporary recovery programs as the vehicle for additional support.
Great. One more question, Justin. Can you share the best way communities can reach out to work with you on projects?
Yeah, and this is one of those things, like you hear people talk about they need a portal and they need, a central point of contact. We're really trying to institute a culture of no wrong window, that you can, phone or contact any one of us in our organization for specific projects. We're currently reorganizing. We're hiring some new staff and other folks. So you could, go through our general website for general inquiries. If you have a direct contact or connection, you could contact them. It really depends what kind of project you're looking for, but we can make sure whoever you contact at Prairiescan, we can point you to the right individual and get you set up to have a productive engagement.
Great. Now, another question is, are you working with our Indigenous leaders, elders, or others at CANDO to advance employment and economic development projects? And any other stories or examples you can share in Alberta?
Yeah, so this is an area we've done some work and we'd like to do a whole bunch more. And this is an area where I think relationships are very important. And we're looking to deepen and strengthen our relationships with Indigenous leaders and community members across the province. We've done a lot of work with CANDO and have Ray sit on an economic development partners group that we coordinate on a regular basis. We've worked with NABA and some other groups. We've recently provided substantial funding to the Indigenous Tourism Association in Shea Bird, and getting that newish group off the ground with some substantial funding. And so we're looking to do more, both in terms of the not-for-profit realm as well as the commercial realm, and ways in which we can support scale up and growth in those areas. So very interested in opportunities to progress, and we'll be taking steps to do so in the next year.
Can you share more information on funding opportunities for incubators in the region? And then there's another question. What are the ways Prairiescan plan to capture innovation in different regions? So the first question is, can you share more information on the funding opportunities for incubators?
Right. So as mentioned, we provided that substantial $5 million funding to Alberta Innovates when they had a large RFP, lots of interest in that across the province. And through that process, funded a handful of incubator and accelerators, some new to Canada that we're bringing in with some specialized expertise. We've also provided funding to Endeavor Global, for instance, which is a high-end accelerator, CDL, Creative Destructive Labs, and a series of other ones. A lot of these are urban focused in the Calgary Edmonton region. We have seen interest from other areas in the province looking to establish accelerators and incubators, and are interested in looking at proposals in that regard. Being careful that we're not over servicing our entrepreneurs with accelerators and incubators across the province, because quite frankly, there's going to be substantial support in this province versus other provinces on a per capita basis for accelerators and incubators. But we're always looking at new opportunities. We've been looking at some stuff in ag. Bioenterprise has been a group we've funded to support accelerator incubators. We funded Foresight, which is a clean tech accelerator that's come from Vancouver into Calgary. So we're happy to look at other opportunities. The best way to engage, if you're interested in accelerator incubator funding, is to come to us, and we can point you to the right personnel within the organization and have some discussions of what kind of criteria we're looking for and what the application process looks like.
Great. Now there's a question as well. Will we be sharing this presentation? And I can say the answer is yes. An email will be going out to all of the participants, a link to the recording. And as well, Justin, if we can get a copy of this presentation from you,
Sure.
I can put that in the email as well.
Sure. Yeah, happy to do so.
Great. Are there any other questions? Anybody have any other questions? Here's one. On the innovation side of the target sectors, what are your thoughts around opportunities in Alberta related to renewable energy, hydrogen, lithium, and more? And what are you hearing with your clients or in your networks in that regard?
Right. So this is a very exciting area of development, and might be a bit biased, but I see more new energy opportunity developments in Alberta versus just about anywhere else in the country. For instance, we make more hydrogen than anyone else in the country right now. We have an opportunity to leverage that production and industrial scale and expertise to meet new market demand and help facilitate new market demand. So lots of opportunity on the hydrogen side. What's interesting is the debate between blue and green hydrogen, and we'll be focused a lot on making the blue hydrogen and carbon sequestration of the hydrogen production here in the province. We are, needing to get more demand for that hydrogen, in heavy vehicle freight vehicles, for instance, trucks and trains. So we are working with a variety of partners through that transition accelerator and other partners to move that forward. Lots of interesting opportunity on lithium. It's still a newish area and lots of risk from an investment capital perspective. So, lots of certainty is required. And I think a more regulatory certainty is required before you start to see more substantial investment there. But that's one of the areas we're interested in doing more research and analysis and digging into what the real opportunities are that exist there. Renewable has been developing at pace. We haven't been as involved in that area, but we're keen to look at areas in which we can support, providing risk-based lending to scale up firms or doing research and analysis around policy issues or barriers or market intelligence demand. And there's all kinds of tremendous opportunities on that downstream energy side too, in terms of making new products with our natural gas and otherwise. We'll have the polypropylene facility launching next year in Alberta's industrial heartland. We're seeing lots of increased interest provincially in other downstream value-added energy products. So lots of opportunity there to build that cluster into the future.
Great. Have I missed anybody? Does anybody have any further questions for Justin? Well, if that's all, Leanne, I think that we're good to go. Like I said, I will be sending out a link to a recording of this presentation and as well as a PDF of the presentation itself to everybody, so you can use it as your resource. And I think that's it.
Yeah, well, thanks a lot, Justin, once again, for taking the time to tell us about the exciting things that you're doing. Did you want any final closing comments before we wrap up, or?
Yeah, thanks, Leanne. Thanks, EDA, for the opportunity to present. Really privileged to talk about all the new exciting things going on within Prairiescan. So we are setting up a new agency. Please be patient with us as we get going on organizational staffing up and programs. We'll have a new government come in. They'll obviously probably have a refreshed list of priorities and areas of focus for us, but we're really excited. This is a time to provide we desperately need some economic recovery support in this country, in this province, and we're pleased to be able to play a larger role than we played before. But we want to do it in collaboration with you. Economic development is a team sport, and so we need your intel, we need your wisdom and direction and guidance in doing these things, particularly as we go into some of these new communities. We're going to be relying on you to help blaze a trail for us to help make us collectively successful. So really looking forward to our increased partnerships with you into the future.
Great. Thanks so much, Justin. And thanks to each of you for calling in. Wishing you all a happy Thanksgiving in advance and a good weekend, a safe weekend. So thanks again.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.